You see that gap on the chart and think price is coming back here. But what if not every fair value gap is worth trading? There is a reason some FVGs get respected while others get completely blown through. Let's break down what actually matters. What is fair value gap? A fair value gap or FVG is an imbalance created when price moves aggressively in one direction and doesn't trade efficiently through a certain area. When we talk about FVG, we look at three candle sequence as shown in this diagram. But before I explain this diagram, let me tell you the two types of FVG. We have one bullish FVG and two bearish FVG. This first diagram here, we have the first candle, we have the second candle, and we have the third candle. The second candle is usually the displacement candle, while we look for FVG between the first and the third. So the distance or the space between the first and the third candle is where you find the imbalance. Let's define what a bullish FVG is. Bullish FVG is the space between the upper wick of the first candle and the lower wick of the third candle in a three candle sequence, just like in this scenario. Here is the upper wick of the first candle and here is the lower wick of the third candle. So the space between this and this is known as the fair value gap. This is for bullish move. And this second candle clearly shows that there is no gap, no FVG here because there is no space between the upper wick of the first candle and the lower wick of the third candle. So there is no fair value gap in this scenario. Then for bearish scenario, bearish FVG is the space between the lower wick of the first candle and the upper wick of the third candle. As you can see, if this is your third candle, I have the lower wick and the upper wick of the first candle. So the distance from here to here, or the space between these two wicks, is the imbalance, which is where the FVG is created. So the candle color does not matter. In a bearish or bullish trend, you can see red candle or green candle in between. So what really matters is just the gap created between three sequence candle. Let's continue. Bullish fair value gap shows buy side imbalance, while bearish fair value gap shows sell side imbalance. Let's go to chart and learn how to identify fair value gap. This is a bullish move. In this bullish move, we try and identify all possible fair value gap, whether it is high quality or low quality. Our focus here is to identify every possible fair value gap along this bullish move. Let's start here. Remember, we are using three candles: the first candle, the second candle, and the third candle, and our focus is on the first and the third. The second candle is usually the displacement candle. So anywhere we see gap between the first and the third candle, we mark it as fair value gap. From here, we are starting here. This is one, two, three candles. Let me zoom it for you to see clearly. If you look closely, you will see that there is no space between the first and the third candle. So there is no fair value gap here. We move to the next one. This one, two, three candle sequence, there's a space. So we mark this as a fair value gap. This is a fair value gap. We move to the next one. One, two, three. Three candle sequence. There is space and there's a fair value gap. As you can see, price traded back to fill the space, which is the fair value gap. The next one is here. There's a fair value gap. Thus, we have three candle sequence. Price traded and filled it partially. It did not fill all of the fair value gap. And there's another one here. If you have three candle sequence, this is the first one, the displacement candle, and you have this other one. Candle, good. It traded and filled the fair value gap. Along this line, there is no space between all the candles, so there is no fair value gap here. From here, no fair value gap. We can look at this one closely too and see if there is a fair value gap here. So here and here, there's a small fair value gap. We can mark it too, but it's just small gap that is here. So zoom it, you can see it clearly. I've seen a small gap here. No matter how small it is, as far as there's a gap, you can mark it as fair value gap. Price is likely coming to fill it. And note, there is no guarantee that every fair value gap will be filled. But what we are looking at here is just to mark out any possible fair value gap. You are not looking at the quality of the fair value gap. And you cannot rate fair value gap alone. You join it with other confluences. So from here to here, you can mark another fair value gap. So I believe this examples on bullish fair value gap is enough. Let's move to bearish fair value gap. We already defined what bearish fair value gap is. What we are left with now is how to identify it. So still that same three candle sequence. Anywhere we see gap between the first and the third candle, we mark it as a fair value gap. So here now, there's no space between the first. We've looked at 1, 2, 3 candle. There's no space. Same thing here. The same thing here. Every other gap is filled here. Every other gap is filled here. So from here now, every other gap is filled here. You can come here and see 1, 2, 3, and we mark it here. So you can see price later came to fill this gap. This one, 1, 2, there's small space here. We can mark it as fair value gap. This one, 2, 1, 2, 3, you can mark it. If you are just marking out, this is a fair value gap. After this, price came back to fill, but partially it did not fill all of it. Later on, it came and filled everything. So this is how to mark fair value gap. And there are things you should take note of before choosing a fair value gap. Let me show you. Number one is liquidity. Number two is market structure. Number three is premium or discount zones. Let me make this correction. Discount zones. Look at higher time frame context and the direction you are expecting the price to move. Fair value gap is not a strategy that you trade alone. You don't just open your chart and start marking out gaps from any point. You need to join fair value gap with other trading strategies for you to get a high quality fair value gap. And this particular video is just for identification of fair value gap. I'll still make another video and teach you how to select high quality fair value gap. See you in the next video, and do well to subscribe to the channel and like this video.